Okay, welcome to Stampscapes 101, or Stampscapes Live. I'm going to try something on a piece of 5 by 7 inch, fairly dark, dark blue cardstock here. It's a matte cardstock, just plain paper. And this is a technique that I haven't done in a while, but I really like the look of. So we'll see where we can go here. Okay, this is going to be a moonlit night over kind of a watery cove in here. Okay, so that being said, if I stamp anything in black over such a dark base like that, we're not going to really be able to see it. If stamped in black, you'll be able to see a little bit of it. Like if I was just going with some solid pine trees or something like that, we would probably be able to tell what it is. But kind of on an open design, like something like this, you'll probably be able to make out that they're trees, but you won't be able to make out things like these interior elements in here, the differentiation between tree and rooftop and side of the cabins and so on and so forth. Okay, so that being said, we want to give this a little bit of a lighter base. Hello, Linda. All right, so that being said, you kind of have to have a little bit of idea where things are going to go, but it doesn't have to be super definitive, okay? All right, that being said, I am going to put a moon in here, and this is going to be a folded card, so it's going to be the front and the back of the card in here. I think I'm going to position the moon on the back of the card, though, okay? And there's going to be a cabin right here, and then a cabin right over here. And this moon right here is going to be the thing that's going to be illuminating the scenes. So I better get some white into this location right here, okay? Now I'm not going to do, like a really definitive template, application of this white for the moon. Okay, there's going to be like this haze around the moon. So I'm just going to get a general area and go outside of the perimeter of this moon right here. Okay, and I want to go pretty good because I want that moonlight to be kind of glowing in this location here. Okay. I'm not going to make it too white. I'm going to leave this scene fairly, I don't know, mostly I would say 50% are darker. Okay, so there's not going to be too many like super light lights in this scene. Although I don't know, that got pretty light right there, but I think that's as far as I'm going to go. Our moon is going to go right here. And then we have these different cabins right here, and let's see. We'll put these on opposing areas, like about like this. Here, composing right here in my head. And we'll go with this up here. Maybe we'll go a little bit higher like that. Okay, now like I said, if we don't put some white in the background, we won't be able to see anything. So just kind of in this general area right in here. And outside of it a little bit, I want some of that white. And same thing right in here. Maybe we'll go with the directional application of this too. Meaning, this is this kind of glowing moon right here. We can kind of wipe some ink like this right into this area here. But I think I'm going to put it more in streaks, like there's this kind of cloudy mist. And that'll be my kind of directional, I guess it's a lighting theme, it's a cloud theme or whatever application really, but it is the lighting in the scene, so it's kind of this directional textured lighting scheme in here. Okay, all right, I should probably re-ink this a little bit. This is a little bit dry for this type of application here. Let's go pretty good. I'm probably laying down too much ink on this right now. It's going to go in on a you know, with a big slathering or something like that. I'll try not to do that though, but it's not going to matter too much, you know, how much we apply. You can apply, I would say you just apply adequately, but if you think you applied too much, it's not going to be really any big deal because we're going to be stamping a big dark image right over the top of it. You got a lot of that, huh, Linda? What type of paper is it? Is it like a cardstock or is it just like a plain, you know, like almost construction paper, uncoated? That's what this is, I think. Now, one thing about this, I mean, I am going over this pre-folded little ridge here, so I'm thinking that's going to clip right there a little bit, and it'll show. But, you know, so be it. You know, this card, I mean, people, you know, when you do front and back side of these cards, people might open it up and look at the card in terms of its, you know, entirety, but I think for the most part, people are going to be looking at it as front and back like that, you know? I mean, they can open it up like that too. One of the things about this too is when you establish this type of formatting like this, where you're using the whole spread, like a double page spread, it kind of gives us an opportunity to do something on the interior that also reflects that, you know, whole, you know, type of scene. So you can do another scene on the inside here, or some sort of little visual narrative too. You know, as opposed to just doing something on this one, this area right here, you know, dear, whoever, love, you know, something like that. All right, so let's see here. This is applying pretty good. Sometimes I get a little bit of a blob like that, but, you know, I'm able to spread that out pretty good. This is the Brilliance ink that I'm using, but use anything that you want on this paper. It'll take oil-based pigment inks. It'll take, you know, anything, any brand. The Brilliance is a water-based, and it probably dries a little bit faster. Well, you know, but I know it dries faster than oil-based ones, but especially on this porous, you know, type of uncoated stock like this, just about anything is going to dry on this pretty fast, you know, because it's going to be absorbing for the most part. Okay, down this area down here, we'll make it really streaky and oscillated between light and dark because this is going to be the water down this way. Okay, maybe I should, you know, kind of have a little bit more of a application in a, you know, right underneath my moon. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Let me see if I can, or I'll see if I can do it. I haven't done this technique in a really long time, so I have no idea what I'm going to get here. I know what I'm kind of going after. I know in general what I want. Hello, Karen. Why don't you use a blending brush instead of a cotton ball? A blending brush, that would take forever. Are you talking about like the cosmetic brushes, Karen? Cosmetic brushes are meant, they're made for, if you're talking about those brushy ones, they're made for dry media, okay? So they're generally not something that's going to be very absorbent, because they're meant to be going in on like a powdery type of application. You don't want a big slathering. Or something more natural like cotton like this, you can absorb more, and therefore there's more to transfer like that. And the cosmetic brushes too, they're synthetic, so they wick moisture. Yeah, those regular craft blending brushes, those weren't regular craft blending brushes until a few years ago, when, I don't know, people kind of discovered them. They're makeup brushes. So no one was using those things before. I mean, they're good. They're good for like a light application, though, for sure. You know, but not a heavy application. Like if you were going to do something, this is kind of the equivalent of like if we were talking about makeups, it would be the equivalent of like a clown applying cold pack cream really to absolutely coat someone, or like the band Kiss putting on their makeup. You know, where makeup brushes, right? What are they geared for? They're geared for really light applications, you know, foundation, you know, it's like a foundation coat or something like that. You know, you're not supposed to see this big slathering of liquid media on someone's face, right? So yeah, blending brushes, like I said, they're also synthetic, so they wick moisture. It just that's just something that came out. Now, like I said, I've used them before, but I can tell though, you know, they when you want to use wet media, there's brushes that are kind of made for that. There's media or there's applicators that are made for that. And what they have to do is they absorb moisture, and that's so you can transfer it. Like if you dip a brush into water or something like that, it's going to suck up through capillary action the moisture, right? But if you do that with like a makeup brush, I don't know how much it's doing that because it's like a poly, it's a synthetic, and that's what like outdoor companies use for, you know, their clothing so that it wicks moisture away from your body. And that's what I find exactly happens with like cosmetic brushes for me. So if I'm doing something like this, it would take so much more time to do. Just because it's just by the nature of it, it just doesn't absorb, you know, it's not supposed to absorb a lot of wet material. It's supposed to apply a delicate amount of dry material, you know, to people. Okay, so let's see here. All right, so we're looking at a real streaky type of thing like this. This is supposed to represent the water down here, and I'm going to put in some other types of things around here. Let's put in some extra clouds too while we're at it. Okay. So I want my textures up here a little bit different. I want it to be a little bit more billowy up here, and down here it's going to be kind of streaky. Although you can do both. And then over the top of all of this, what we're going to have is like another layer of white pigment ink. You know, maybe it'll look like it's snowing or something like that. Or it could be stars in the sky. I should get my bearings in terms of my bearings here in terms of where the stamps are going to be positioned, just so I know how far to take, you know, these clouds, or really how low to place them, because I want them kind of coming up roughly on the horizon from where my cabins are placed. So right here, I guess I've kind of already established it. This is like reflections on the water. Maybe I put that up too high, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I haven't done this technique in just, I don't know, I haven't done this technique in a really long time. Especially like this 2-page visual narrative type of situation here. Okay, so let's see here. All right. Let's see. This will go right here. I think. Let's just go for it right here. I think that's done. Okay, so if you notice, if this comes out good, you can see how kind of, you know what I mean? I wouldn't say it's haphazard, but I didn't take a lot of time to carefully blend anything. There's blotchy areas all over this surface right here. But most of the times when I've done this in the past, if I'm remembering it correctly, like I said, you don't have to get everything really, you know, super nicely applied. I know everyone's into like really smooth applications of things. And if you have some area that's going to be exposed in this open area, you know, maybe that's important. But we're stamping imagery over the top of all this. So that really gets pushed into the background. And then we're going to do additional layering on top of it. So this is like a base layer, and there's like another, I don't know, 5 layers of things that are going to go over the top. So it's really just kind of serving a point to make visible our imagery right here. And then, down here, with those streaky kind of applications, it's supposed to represent water. So I think just having that kind of little streaky oscillation of, light and dark across there, that just gives us a little bit of a head start so we don't have to add that in later with like a pastel pencil or something like that. What you might do to refine things, just depending on how things look. So if I can just give myself a head start to things that are, kind of desired, water pattern down below, I just get it in the foundation itself. By not, in other words, I don't fill in this whole thing with white so that I have to add dark later, okay? Or as much later. It just makes things so much easier. All right, let's see here. Let's go about like so. I'm going to use a little bit of thicker ink than my dye-based ink, so I'm going with the hybrid black Moonlight Night. It's a little combination of black pigment and black dye ink, okay? If you don't have this or a hybrid ink, I mean, most people don't. I wasn't even using this one for a while, but I thought, I really like that one. Your VersaFine Clair would be perfect for it. Have enough ink on it, or another type of black pigment ink would probably be excellent on this type of paper here. Like I said, it's very absorbent, and it's uncoated, so just about any type of ink will be fine on there. White pastel pencil works really well for filling in with the white part on metallic-like papers. A white pastel pencil on metallic-like papers. Huh. Well, not the foils though, right, Linda? You're talking about like a what are they called? Not Pearl X, but what are those iridescent papers? Star Dreams. Couldn't even remember them. I haven't been using them for a while. They got so expensive. I have some, but I just don't use them. All right, so there we go like that. All right. Let's add in some more. Now, I really held that down for a long time because I'm stamping that on top of this pigment ink, and it's still a little bit wet probably, even though it absorbs and everything like that. Now, I'm not going to get like 100% black on top of all of this white here, because this black here is still going to, show through some of the white's going to show through it. Okay, let's see. I'm stamping this one a little bit lower. Let me see here. Yeah. Stamp it a little bit lower. This cabin here is a little bit bigger than this one. So this one, you want to stamp it a little bit higher up if you're going to stamp these two in conjunction with one another. If you're going to be representing kind of like, real, I don't know, whatever, Western perspective, okay, things higher up on the composition represent things farther back in the distance. Okay, large stamps, stand up if you need to. Apply a good amount of pressure, allow the ink to transfer on here a little bit. All right, so we have this. So we have this little opening right here. And see that little line right in there? That'll be my horizon line for, I don't know, whatever, the ocean or something like that. Could be a lake too. It'd be a really big lake though. Okay. So see, it's still really blotchy, but remember, I'm going to bring in a bunch of other media into here, okay? And imagery. All right, let's go with the moon, since I already have that one mounted up here. Where'd it go? So Karen, yeah, if you like cosmetic brushes, I would say give it a try out. Try it if you're going to do this like technique like this. Test it out. See which one works better for you. And also, I kind of want a really soft application. Cosmetics brushes are really soft, but cotton, you know what I mean? Just by the nature of it, it's a really soft material. And if you're ever using cotton, so we're talking about cotton balls, you have to use 100% cotton balls, not the synthetic ones. The synthetic ones don't work for me like at all, okay? But the true cotton is a natural fiber, so it's going to be absorbing moisture, and therefore you can transfer it over, okay? But yeah, just give it a test and see which ones work. There's different types of brushes too. The ones that are, I wouldn't go with the hairy ones, you know, like the hairs, the synthetic hairs. If you're going to do this, you'd really have to be smashing down in there. But some of those brushes are more of that, it's like a foam or something like that. That might be pretty good, but on something like that, you might be really wearing down the brush too if you're applying kind of this, you know, pretty big slathering onto the surface like that. So, you know, watch out for that. You know, really take care of your tools there. You know, especially if you're going kind of in this, you know, circular fashion, getting it down. Got to try different types of movements too sometimes. All right, so we have that. So we're going to fill in this area in here with a lot of different imagery too. Okay, let's go with some rocks in here. Okay, let's see. I can't get away from these rocks off the that first desert set. Okay, so these rocks are going to be filling in this area. Not up here, okay, but just right down here in the foreground area. Let's see if there's any kind of directional type of thing. Should I do it at a slope like that? I think a little bit of a slope might be kind of interesting. And I'll throw these ones down here. Of course, it's going to be like that, but I think like this. See, what I'm doing here is when I do this, I'm kind of creating this little corridor, kind of like this, this little turning thing right in here. All right, same thing. We're just going with the black ink. Now, if I wanted to spend a little bit of extra time, you know, where I know that I'm going to stamp this rock where I didn't before, I would probably illuminate this underneath here a little bit more. So it's like, okay, I know where I'm going to place this rock now. So before stamping it out, I would take some more white pigment ink and I would have applied it right in this area so that that rock is a little bit more illuminated. Okay. But I just want this card to be really fast. Just a fast application of this kind of whole technique. All right, I might have a problem right here. See where I'm stamping this out? This is a pre-folded card, so this is ridge, so it's probably not going to stamp out right in that spot there. Maybe this is where like a stamp positioner would come in handy, I don't know. I'll try to give it a little bit more pressure. It shouldn't be too, well, I don't know. I guess that ink's thick enough though, where it just went right over the top of it. So okay. I thought I might have to fill that in a little bit with like a black colored pencil or something, but we don't. So all the better. Let's see. Hello, Marianne. We'll try. The one that I was looking at, I have these things I send out with orders called idea cards, and one of them was this forest, and it had a bunch of tree trunks, and it was just a forest floor, so it was like trees all along here. I think it was like that, or was it a double page card? No, I don't know. I think it was. Okay. But anyways, I liked the lighting. You know, usually we're working on a white piece of paper with a lot of our cards, right? You know, white cardstock. And then what we're doing is we're just adding things on there, which are darker than white. You know, so we're going darker and darker and darker, usually. So this is like a fun little exercise in, I don't know, it seems like it's using a different hemisphere of the brain or something like that, because instead of darkening things to whatever, describe forms, you know, we stamp a teddy bear or something like that, and then we're coloring it in, we're shading a little bit or something like that, you know what I mean? Or any type of object. On this, it's almost like I don't know, the feeling is almost like going into something and removing something, you know what I mean? Even though this is all an additive process right here, I don't know, it feels like, I don't know, it feels more akin to me like, I don't know, if we're doing some sort of sculpture or something like that, you know, and removing things to reveal, you know, certain forms. And this is like, we're just, you know, we're working with light instead of, you know, something dark. So I don't know. It's a little bit of a different thing. I think when you do this too, this type of process like this, I feel that when I go back to working on white paper or something like that, I feel that I'm seeing lighting better, you know. And that's something that's always been really important to me, but I don't know, it's still a great exercise for me to do. Um, you know, on a pretty regular basis. I don't know. I don't know. It fine tunes my eye for lighting and shade and things like that. Okay, so this is some rocks going up this way. So it's kind of like, I don't know. It's like a little tide pool area right in here, type of thing. And see, I'm stamping over all of these little streaky areas in here, so it's kind of, you know what I mean? It's not looking quite as blotchy anymore. I mean, it still is, but... Okay, let's see here. Let's add in with some additional texture in here. Let's go in with this other rock. There's some larger rocks like this. It's a little bit too large for this block. I'm just going to do it at a diagonal like that. All right, here we go. Let's see what's up and what's down here. I'm surprised that okay, I saw. I guess when I was going over that ridge, that white was kind of clipping on there and building up right there, so I get this extra white little line down there. But I'm surprised that the impression, you know, is going on there reasonably smooth. I mean, this is thing right here. I mean, you can see it's like, you know, it's a little ridge poking up like that. But I don't know. I guess the thicker styles of ink just kind of, you know, stamp right in there, no problem. I thought I would have this big gap, you know, where there's the image and there's this big gap and then the image starts again over here with like this, I don't know, maybe not like quite a quarter inch or something like that of missing image, but I thought I would have some, or, you know, a lot more than I can see. Okay, that was some larger rocks. Let's add in some smaller rocks now. And we'll go around like right in here. It really must be low tide right now. Linda, what was that? What size of card was that you did with all four cabins on it? Was that the 10 by 16? For those that aren't on Facebook, Linda here in the chat just did pretty much the largest scene using the nature set number 35 in the history of the world. Of course, it's only been out like like 2 weeks, but and there's it's whoever's stamping, but okay. We have our foreground here. I'm debating on whether or not to add in some additional like trees here in the foreground too for added depth. I wonder if that'd be too much. I kind of like what's going on in here. I don't know if I want to cover it up. I can go with some smaller things in here. I kind of missed. Did I miss? I don't know if I missed that impression right there a little bit. But let's add in, I don't know, let's add in some little foreground grasses here maybe. Now this is a pre-folded card, so I probably should take a look and see what the two compositions are going to look like, separate from each other. Okay, so this card. See, we want these compositions to look pretty decent just on their own. Okay, so that's like a I was thinking about on this one right here, I'd put like this word stamp up here maybe. And on this one, it's going to have this moon or something like that. And then they can open it up like, this wouldn't be bad if it was the interior spread too. If like, if you put like some sort of quote on here or something like that, and then people would open this up to reveal something like that. I don't know. Okay, so, I mean, this is looking, it's all kind of, it's missing a foundational structure in here right now. So let's add that in right now. And what I mean by that is we need like this horizon line in here so that it's like everything is built on this body of water like that. But it's just kind of wide open up there. I've kind of given it a little bit of a, streak up top, a little bit of a, defining streak. But we'll go with a little bit of a stronger one now, or a lot stronger one. Okay, let's see. So let me get my bearings. Okay, so the moon's going to be right here. So I think I'm going to have this area of light right in here, and then it will transition a little bit as it moves over here. So strong to a little bit weaker, okay? So you just go with more ink here and less ink over here. And I'll just show you how you do that here. This will be really, it'll be really easy to do, but we will see what it looks like. Okay, so you just take your ink like this, and underneath your moon, we'll start streaking it this way so that, and you want to streak like this, okay? You don't go like this and then up, okay? So it's like you're doing this little wispy pattern like that so that, it transitions from a heavier to a lighter application like this. And I'll show you what we're doing right here. See that little horizon right there? But we don't want it all block, like a super strong, area like that over here too. We want it to kind of transition like that. Okay, it looks like I need to go all the way over to here though. right up to that tree. Now, if you go into that tree a little bit, don't, don't worry about it. Okay, like that. And then see, we got a nice little horizon like that now. It's a little bit blotchy in there, but I'll show you what we'll do with that too. All right, so the lighting is lighter than the moon that's supposedly casting the light. So here, I'll use my little template for that now. Let's see. Let's go in here. Okay, I don't want to just absolutely lighten this whole thing up right here. Let's go right down here, and we'll create a little bit of a transitioning, moon as well. Okay. I tend to like to transition my things. I find it a little bit more interesting. I didn't always do that. I was doing like light beams, that were like the full strength. I do moons that were just, I'd block it out completely with, a uniform application of like, say, white. But I found that over time, I thought, I think it looks a little bit better if it's a little bit lighter on one side and darker on the other. With suns or moons. Or light beams, and when you think of it, I don't know, it's really less work because we don't have to apply as much ink, too. So I don't know. It serves a couple different purposes. All right, so we have that now. So we have our light source that's kind of, reflecting. The right amount of whatever reflected light on there. I didn't think about this. I said it was a little bit blotchy on there, but that's still wet, so I can still kind of wipe it off a little bit like that. That transitions it a little bit better like that, I think. Let's see here. Sorry, I haven't been watching this. I've been, this paper's mesmerizing me. Okay, let's see. Not pencils, Kevin. Oh, the pan pastels, okay. Although the pencils should work to add detail. Got it. Short and very close to get that. I don't know. Yeah, test out that. Test that ink out on there when you have a chance, Karen. See if you like the application. You might also get some different types of textures too. That a cotton ball doesn't get. I haven't tried out too many of the different types of the brushes before. I don't know. I got one of those that came out that's pretty basic. I don't know what it looks like. It looks like just your typical one. It has a pad about like that, and it goes like that. I think are they double-sided? Yeah, they're double-sided too. And then it has, I don't know, it's probably like, it's like a 1/2 inch or something like that pad on there, or the brush part. I really like the application for like some of my darkest of colors on the very perimeter because it went on really light and delicately. I don't use them too often, just for that thing because I would have to be pulling that brush out just for that one last color, and I just usually go with whatever I'm using. Okay, so we have that right now. It's a little bit rough looking. Let's go in and add in, I know it would be perfect in here. I have this stamp called Shimmering, and if I just stamped it right over the top of that, it would give me this instant texturing in there. But let's go in here and add in some shading right now. And maybe we can refine some of these applications of white pigment ink in here where it gets a little bit blotchy in some areas. Okay, so this is just standard black colored pencil. I'm not going to have to do too much with this because it's black over something that's like a 70% dark blue, so you know what I mean? And I usually don't use this black um, in its full, whatever, incarnation black. I'm usually using it in like a 10 to 20% gray application. I mean, I'll get a little bit darker sometimes, but um, see, like that, it just kind of anchors things out a little bit too. But I don't want to get, like I said, I don't want to go too dark. I don't want to go darker with my shadows than the actual imagery, okay? And like I said, that imagery didn't stamp out like super dark. It's like an 80% gray or something like that. So if we were to compare it with like a black, like this is black right here, right? This cap. And you can see that, you know, it's just, you know, it's less black than that. So we don't want to go too much. So just add a little bit. I don't know. Actually, I don't, you know, the correct, you know, more accurate thing is I'm not really quite sure how much I'm going to be adding. You know, I'm just kind of reading it as I go. So this is right down here. I mean, this is in the shadows like that, but I already have the white laid out. So I don't want this, you know, this darker area right here to be all light in there. So I'm just knocking it out like that. We have these rocks right in here now. And I can see where they are now. So I'm going to put a little bit of shadow right at the base of them. I want to lighten some of these rocks up too, a little bit. But you can also lighten some areas of the rocks up sometime by making the area around them a little bit darker so that they just look lighter by contrast, okay? So let's do a little bit of that. This is a black colored pencil, but I think a black pastel pencil would be excellent for this, or a Conte crayon, you know, or if you have anything else like that that you like using on, you know, matte papers, anything would work. I don't know if it would show up on here too well, but, you know, if you had dark blue pastels or something like that, you can add that into your shadow areas and not just go for, you know, some grayscale type of application of something. So there's these rocks in my water like that, okay? And I'm just kind of adding in a little bit of a shadow like that right in here just to anchor them out. And just, you know, for a little bit of lighting direction, you know, I might have the shadow kind of go out this way, okay? From being influenced by, you know, the location of that light source on things. If I had some rocks way over here, I would have the shadows kind of going in this direction, okay? These rocks right underneath could be just, you know, straight, vertical, kind of more vertical shadow in there. That water's starting to come together a little bit more, huh? I'm not quite as aware of all my kind of like really sloppy, blotchy applications of white now. You know what I mean? See what I mean? It remedies things, you know what I mean? So you don't have to worry. Like I said, it was all blotchy in here before, even after I stamped the imagery over the top of it. But you know what I mean? You just keep, you know, it's like here's this like blotchy area like that, which might look fine, but if you kind of want to just subdue it, you just go over it with, you know, this pencil at this point in time. And I'm going to add in like some extra little fog and mist here at the end. So let's add a little bit of kind of streaks in here, okay, with this black colored pencil. Maybe blue would be better, I don't know. Here's a blue colored pencil maybe coming in here like this, back into the white. It just kind of varies things a little bit in here a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe I need to get a little bit more. I'm trying to do the thing that my stamp shimmering would do kind of instantly. It's just kind of putting in this kind of horizontal texturing into this area. There we go, like that. So it's a little bit more varied rather than just like all white like that. Okay. Let me see something here. Maybe I should have done this before. You know, I just thought of something. I think this sailboat could look pretty cool in that area. You're saying, well, you can still stamp it. Yeah, but I've just laid down a bunch of like waxy colored pencil, and this ink, it might not stick to like colored pencil very well, things stamping on top of wax. Here, I'll just use my stays on, I think. Let's see here. Okay, let's see. All right, let me wipe off a little bit of the shadow in here because this is really light. So I'm wiping off a little bit of the shadow area of this sailboat right here, just so that it stamps out, maybe, I don't know if it will or not, so it stamps a little bit more gray than black. Let's see. Okay, remember this is stays on, and I'm stamping it over some of that probably blue colored pencil in there. I don't know if I needed to go with the stays on or not. The hybrid might have worked just fine, I'm not sure. But just to be a little bit safer, I think the stays on right in there, especially for this lower area like that. Anyway, it creates a little bit of a background focal point right in there. All right. Let's see. All right. I think it's time. We've added in our shadow work in here. Let's see what this is looking like right here. So we have our card like that. All right. And I have it like that. I don't like some of this texturing like that in there. Let me refine that a little bit more with my black colored pencil again. I'm going to give this little horizon line a little bit of a darker edge, I think. Like that. Okay. And let's do that down here too. I want to anchor my imagery into the scene a little bit more. I think that should do it. Okay, so we went with the white, the black, kind of defining shadows a little bit more. I think I'm going to use my pastel pencil now for some highlights in here. The one that I would really use a lot of, though, probably are my acrylic paint pens, but I think those might look a little bit harsh without some kind of softer applications of light in here first. Let's see. The mini round craft brushes do pick up the ink. The largers don't grab enough ink. Oh, okay, that makes sense, Candy, because the smaller ones are going to be a lot more condensed in terms of the hairs, right? The larger one's going to be moving around too much. Yeah, I can see that. Hello, the crafty visage, you know. I would. I'm always thinking of Maine, you know. Anytime someone's from Maine or I send out some stamps to Maine, it really takes me back. One of my just favorite trips ever was to Maine. I went out there the first time and I enjoyed it, but then I don't know, like a couple years later, teaching over there in West Rockport, and I taught all around up there the first time, the first trip. But then I had a week off basically and got to explore Acadia. And I'm telling you, I had that whole national park to myself practically. Okay, I'm placing some of this white on the side of the tree facing that moon. That's a little bit too extreme there, so I'm kind of wiping some of it off like this. This is the pastel pencil, so it just, it wipes off really easy. Yeah, so I'm always daydreaming of Maine. I was looking at some videos of Maine. Oh, I don't know. I think it was during the pandemic or when things started opening up again, and everyone started visiting national parks more. And I was looking at someone that I know, a stamper, went out there on a trip to Maine, and she was talking about it. But she said Acadia specifically, and she was saying, yeah, if you're not in there by, you know, um, a certain time, 10 a.m., you're not going to get a parking spot in any of those places. Definitely not in the major kind of little site areas, but on all those trails in there, there's a lot of these trails where the trailhead, I mean, they might fit like a dozen cars, 10, 15 cars at most. At least when I was there. When I was there, I was the only one in the parking there. And I was thinking, man, in a busy time of year, there's not going to be very much parking in there. So, I don't know. It probably wouldn't be good for me to go back there. Um, Having had the whole place to myself at one time. I got spoiled. All right, so see this right here? So I'm kind of like defining the lighting in here better. So on these trees and on some of these rocks in here, the side of the trees that are facing the light source are illuminated, and the opposite side of the trees, I just kind of leave it, as is, okay? Now, if you had different colors of pastel, you can use those too. Like in this theme, it's blue, so you can use that. But I don't, so. So we're just going with the white here. I do have some different colors of the acrylic paint pens that we'll utilize on here. Hello, Jeannie and Sharita. Glad you like it, Crafty. Thanks, Karen. Forgot to cut it down. Oh, that was an 8.5 by 11, Linda. I have an 11 by 17 coming soon. Hello, Christine. Hello, military mom. Cadillac Mountain in Acadia. Beautiful, breathtaking view from the summit. I think I did that one, military mom. Is that the highest one in Acadia? I mean, I did, there's not... Now, I didn't do all the carriage trails. Um, I didn't do any of them. But I think I did all the hikes, because I had like 4 or 5 days in there. One day was like really storming though, so I went to that other area of Acadia that's not like connected to the main area. I don't know. It's like, the ocean was there with a bunch of crashing waves. Um, But I think, yeah, Cadillac Mountain, I think I remember that one. I think that, yeah, that sounds really familiar. The hike that, I mean, I liked all of them, but there's this other one over Jordan Pond, I think, or something like that. Um, that one was awesome too. But there was this one hike called the Precipice Trail in Acadia. All right, now here, there's some, here, let me show you, it's be easier to show you on this one. Okay, now see, this is the image that I'm rendering right here. But see, right here, I've left some areas of these trees just inherently lighter, okay? So that takes a lot of the guesswork and the work out of it for me when I'm highlighting now. I'm not adding like highlighting to this tree right here, okay? I'm just kind of revealing more on the impression here where that light area already is, okay? So you don't have to make all this stuff up. You just kind of follow the design. Now this is right in the area right here that's already really dark, okay? But see, I'll just show you what I'm doing right here. Now the thing about this is, what you do is you don't fill in this whole area with white on here, right? That would stand out way too much. So I'm just kind of adding some highlighting around the edge, top edge of this one. And that right here, it's the right edge or right upper edge of this tree, okay? And this one right here is light too. I don't know if I'll illuminate that one or not because it's in such a dark area. We'll try a little bit and see how it looks, okay? So all you do is you just add a little bit like this, okay? You can add a little bit more too, like right on the edge. You can blend it in a little bit too if you want to. All right, so you can see that right there. It's catching that light, and then I have a little bit less. I mean, it's in a really small amount of area, but it's like really light. Then you can kind of, here, I'll blend a little bit in with my finger like that. So it's a little bit lighter because I've just, smeared some of that pastel on there. I think that looks okay. Let's do a little bit on this tree as well. Okay, now I think a little bit less on this one would be good. So you can just kind of place a little bit on the, here it is on the upper right-hand side of this tree right here. Like about like so. Like about like that. Okay, so it kind of brings it out from the background a little bit. Now I haven't done the rooftops in here at all. I've been debating on whether or not to do that with the pastel pencil because I probably want to do that with the acrylic paint pens too. But let's add a little bit to it here. Maybe I should do this right here. Okay, I just remembered a technique I forgot about. So let's see now how I mask this off up top like this. I think this is what I did before on these types of things like this, on this dark paper. I'll mask off the top of that rooftop like this, okay? And I'll go from a little bit of a lighter white like that to a darker one like that in there. Okay, I'm remembering. I haven't done this in, I think it's been years of working on this kind of like darker paper like this and just kind of, a little lighting, shading kind of experiment or exercise. Okay, so it's adding a lot right here. So we're doing the same thing that we did on that ocean top in transitioning that light, okay? So it's not like that. And see how that really kind of pops out that rooftop like that? But see, it's transitioning. I just kind of placed it right there, and then there's like less pigment ink right over there. Okay, we'll do the same thing right here, except it'll go from a little bit lighter here and darker here. Now, there's not very much space here. There's just this little space right here, okay, for that rooftop like that. It's certainly an easy masking, assignment right here, though. You just go like that. Okay, so I'm going to add more ink right here and just transition it. So in other words, you just kind of start off with a really small area like that. It's like 1/8 of an inch, okay? And tap it for a while, okay? You know, not 5 minutes or anything like that, but, you know, 5, 10 taps. And you see, you don't want to get over here and apply the same amount, so you just use a little bit of a lighter pressure like this, okay? And if you ever apply too much, you just wipe it off. It'll come right off like that, okay? So see, you have that rooftop like that, that's transitioned. Okay, that was better than doing it with the pastel pencil, which is a soft thing. Now I have this nice crisp edge like that, okay? And those rooftops stand out a little bit better. Okay, I almost forgot here too. Let's add, we have some rocks down here in the foreground, and I've added some shadows to them. I don't know where I'm going to add in some lighting. Let's add a little bit of lighting on a couple of these, maybe. I'll see how it looks, then if I don't like it, I'll just kind of, you know, wipe it off or erase it. If you're doing pastels on something, remember to spray seal. You guys are kind of looking at it like this. This is what it looks more like. Okay, so there's a little bit of glare like that. I was thinking, that looks really bad, but it looks like that. You know, when I look at it on screen, it looks a little bit, you know, more rounded that way. Let's go in here too. I can define some of these little streaks on my water surface. Okay, here's a rock right here that's a little bit more open on the top. It's not just a silhouette of a rock. That. So this is where it almost feels like you're kind of carving these things out of something. You know what I mean? It's, I don't know, it feels more like, I don't know, like somewhere in between drawing and like sculpture or something like that, where you're kind of revealing forms out of the, you know, out of something. And if you ever do this type of thing too, see, if you do something like this and you put that little highlight on one thing, it kind of stands out. So you have to kind of add it over other things, and, you know, where it becomes a consistent texture or lighting scheme or element, I guess you can call it. So kind of added on a few things. All right, so see that? Yeah, these rocks I think are kind of capturing a little bit more light. Okay, I wasn't even thinking about this. I put more lighting right here and not too much over here. And I think it's consistent with this light source being kind of stronger right underneath the moon too, I think. So let's see, let's put a little streak right in here. I'll emphasize it a little bit more like that. Okay, go like that. All right, I'll show it to you guys like this. All right, I think we're ready for some paint pens. And then I think I'm going to stamp in some other quote stamps. I'm going to do that not in this live stream because I don't know. I usually look around at my different sentiment stamps and kind of decide on what'll go in there. Let's see. Jordan Pond. I think that's where the tea room. Yeah. I think that's where that was. I didn't go into any of those buildings there at that pond, but I think there's this hike that's on the other side of the pond from, yeah, that tea room or restaurant like that. Thanks, Janie. And I think there was this big like balancing rock on the edge of the cliff up there or something like that. And I think that's what I hiked to. That was like one of the few hikes that I saw anyone else on, and what it was the rangers doing, you know, just doing some trail maintenance. And I asked the guy, I said, I don't know. I made small talk or something like that, and I said, I don't know. I forgot what I asked him, but he goes like this all wasn't here like last week. And he was talking about the color. So I guess I caught the place in full color, and then I was sure of that too. When I heard him, but then like the day after was that big storm, and it was raining pretty hard, and I would say that those trees lost. I was really bummed out because I thought, oh my God, this is going to knock all the leaves off the trees. And in which it did. It knocked off like 50% of the leaves on the trees, and all that color. But then when I was hiking on the trails, I realized, oh my God, I'm walking on this like carpet now, this thick carpet of, it was basically looked like, it was the color scheme of Fruity Pebbles, that cereal. It was that pink, yellow, orange. I don't know if there's orange Fruity Pebbles, but it was that same exact color scheme. Okay, now I'm adding in some highlights in here. Now this is like a it's like a medium, slightly lighter blue that's not showing up very well, okay? And I'm doing that just to kind of get in the swing of things right now and adding these little dots in here with these dots that aren't going to show up very much, okay? And I like to, because I'm going like medium blue, okay, like highlighting over a medium blue background, okay? It's a different color, it's a little bit of a different hue, but this kind of gets me into the swing of things, adding in these highlights like this, and then I'll go, to the lighter ones and to white like this, okay? I always tell people this, but when I went out to Maine on that trip, I was out there teaching classes one weekend, and after years of traveling, I started scheduling time just to check out the local sites. It always bummed me out that I'd fly into an area, do a convention, and leave, or I'd fly in, I'd do the workshops, and I'd fly out, the day after the workshops, and I really wouldn't be able to see a lot of the things in those areas. And when I got to Maine, I thought, okay, I'm going to take this time. I'm going to travel. I didn't know what I was going to do either exactly until I got out there, but I was going to do Katahdin, but then I don't know, it seemed like it was complicated to get on some of those trails or something like that. And I thought, I might need some like know-how around in that area. So I just thought, okay, I'm just going to stay in Acadia like the whole time. But going back to those trails though, the Precipice Trail. So the Precipice Trail is this trail. It's a short trail with a little bit of elevation gain. There's not a whole lot of elevation gain anywhere, in that small park. Okay, now this blue is showing up a little bit stronger here. Oh, you know what I mean? Now this paper is uncoated, okay? So as I lay that down, that blue really stands out like that, right? And then see, as it absorbs in the paper, I can't even see it, okay? I'm usually not doing this on such absorbent papers. Okay, so let's go straight to a lighter one that's going to show up here. But on that Precipice Trail, you're going up this trail, and there's all these iron rungs on things, and you're like hiking along like the side of a cliff, and then there's these like chains, periodically for you to grab onto, where there's a lot of exposure. In some areas you're looking down like 300-400 feet, and you're on this not super narrow ledge, but it might be like 1.5 to 2 feet wide or something like that. But they do have all these like old rungs kind of like anchored into the rock that you just grab onto. I mean, you shouldn't be doing that trail if you're scared of heights or anything like that. But I guess some guide, like, people die on that trail if they're like people that have done it in like the winter time, when it's all slick and things like that. I guess But that was like a really cool hike. The Precipice Trail. There was one area that I didn't like, speaking of a ledge, and it was like a 2 feet wide ledge. But the thing about it, it was a little bit sloped. Not super sloped, but sloped enough. And it was covered in water and like algae or something like that. And then there was no rung, to grab onto for a few feet in that one spot. So you kind of had to go across there just, with, I don't know, whatever, with confidence, and not stop, because I was a little bit worried. And doing those types of things wasn't new to me, because it was like hiking out and climbing out in Joshua Tree like every weekend, that I wasn't working. But that one area that there in Acadia on that Precipice Trail, I didn't feel too good about that area right there. Okay, so this is little highlights going on in here, and what I'm doing is I'm accenting further in a very crisp way the highlighting that I applied to those trees with the pastel pencil. Okay, so you see it looks like much, I don't know, whatever, it looks much crisper there now, like that. So we get a little bit of a soft lighting in there, and then you have the crisp highlighting, so it's a really nice kind of textural contrast. All right, and this, okay, so this is like a light blue here. It's standing out pretty good on here. Like, I'm not used to having my little highlights in like this tone of blue or value, which isn't super light, stand out so much. This is the white right here, to give you kind of example of it. But since we're starting on such a dark piece of paper, these highlights really stand out quite a bit. Okay, so I'm adding a few more in the lighter area. And it is less in the darker areas. Yeah, maybe that stands out too much. I don't know what those look like. Let's add a little bit more right here. I don't know if I'm going to go to white. I always say that, but on this one, I don't know. It might stand out too much. I'm not sure. All right, on the side of this tree, or these trees on this one, other side of the cove. I told people I was going out to, I had all these hiking friends, and I said, hey, I'm going to be out in Maine, and I'm going to have like all the weekdays off in between the classes and this convention that was happening out there. I said, hey, you got to come out and, join me. And I told my sister that too. And basically no one took me up on that. I don't know, maybe, I don't know, I probably just threw it out there. I didn't like ask or anything like that. But I went back with all these photos of that trip, and like everyone is like bummed out, and they were like, not only they're bummed out for years about not going, because they'd bring it up sometimes. Yeah, I should have went out on that, we should have joined you. All right, so see, like that, like that. It looks a lot more three-dimensional with that, those little accents like that, doesn't it? That looks pretty good down here with that, my white work down there. I wasn't quite sure what that would look like. And then like here, we have this, and then you have it in conjunction. I might look like them better separately. But it's just cool that, you know what I mean? It's like, one continuous card. But like I said, it wouldn't be bad if you put your kind of greeting on the outside, your sentiment, and then they opened it up to this. That would be a pretty dramatic opening like that. You can even do something like wish you were here. Your sentiment in on the inside like that. Okay, so let's do this right here. Let's add in. Let's. I was gonna go with the white paint pen, I think I'm gonna go with a slightly warm tone on my interior of my cabins. Okay, I was gonna white out those windows in here with the white. I think that would be good. Now, I guess I could put in the white. I could put in one or the other, and if I don't like it, I can just put the other one over the top of it. But I think it wouldn't be bad to get a little bit of a warm tinge in here. You know what I mean? When you have interior, I always say this, when you have an interior lit kind of structure, it really creates kind of a nice emotional draw to those structures, you know. It's something warm. You're on the outside here, and you know what I mean. You you want to go over, you know, into there or something like that, or it's like going home, you know. So let's try this one right here. Hello, Megan. Is that a glow in the dark moon? Oh, I was okay. So speaking of that, that's a really good point. I was wondering if on this paper it would be a good opportunity to use one of my glow in the dark moons. And I think it could be. See, these are my glow in the dark ones like this. You can see I have that glow in the dark paint on them or whatever, but that would look pretty cool up there. If I cut this out and just pasted it right over the top of that, might actually look better like that. It's kind of a warmish greenish moon like that. I don't know. That might be a pretty good idea to do that, huh? Of course, you weren't asking, you know, if I was going to do that, but um, that could be pretty cool in there. It would be another warm element in here. Of course, this area down here is just stark white, and it's not kind of a warmish tinge. You can always go into it with like something like a. If I added kind of a little, slightly warm moon, you can go in with colored pencil and just kind of tint your white pigment ink a little bit too. The logic, you know, or whatever the thought process is okay. So there's a warm moon and it's casting the same kind of warm-ish light into the, you know, the landscape, you know, just to match it a little bit more. All right, so here's my interior lit. If I can get this going, it might get clogged up with something. This pen is a little bit clogged for some reason. Sometimes I've been using this pen over the top of other types of inks. Unless it's there's no way this is empty, is it? Here we go, I think. We might be going with a different color. I'll get this working somewhere, sometime else. Let me go with. I think this yellow. That's going to be way too canary yellow. Oh, you know what I mean? If I did one of these colors right here over the top of that blue, I bet you this would look green. Too greenish. Let me try this one right here. Actually, let me try this one again here. This is like the perfect one because it's a little bit kind of like an off-white. I might have went through it though. It might be dry. We might be going with white here. All right. White we go. I can put this in here though, and I can tint it a little bit with, if I want to, with like a colored pencil or something like that. It looks pretty good though. my windows here have one of those kind of, they have those grids in there. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of doing a if you wear glasses, wear your glasses when doing that. What it looks like is it looks like this type of thing right here. And a big version of it is like that. So, I mean, you can just fill it in with, a complete block if you want to, but otherwise it's just kind of doing this little squiggle check mark, on there. All right, let me get this one right over here. Windows up top on this one are just wide open without the grid, and then the smaller windows on the lower area are gridded out like that, okay? All right, so interior lighting, again, like that. That's a big window, glass window right there, but I think I'm just going to leave it to the windows right there. I'm going to leave that door just as is. Okay, let's add in a little bit more highlighting into here. They call this specular light. It's that glistening, sparkling, kind of reflected light that we see not only on water, but everything, like these pens right here, or whatever. That reflected light right there is specular light. It's light that's brighter than white, because it's like a reflected glare in there. And that's what you're adding in right here. Okay. So you know how we kind of wiped in some white in here, and then we went with more white pigment here, and we kind of wiped it like that so that it kind of dissipates out here. We just kind of add more light in that area, and then what you do is you just kind of distance your applications of this type of lighting as it moves out this way with your, kind of more detailed application of light, dots in this case, like that. All right. And okay, it's getting lighter in here, so I think we can put some of the lighter elements in here. We'll see what this looks like. Here, I'll do it on this tree right here. So you see this tree up here, I just put a few more up there, and it's less of it down there. Let's try a couple up here. These really stand out quite a bit on here, so what you do is you just kind of add a couple in there, and then see if you like it, and then, if you want to add more, do it accordingly, but kind of always kind of pull back and see how much you're applying in there. If you want control over it, like I said, sometimes it's just, it's just, they're fun to apply, and I don't think it's a bad thing to over apply something like this. When I see someone that's just kind of gone overboard, it reminds me of me, but sometimes if you're just kind of focusing on the application and not like holding, pulling out and, looking at what you've applied, sometimes you can kind of start applying some of this, and then you suddenly look at it as a whole, and it's like there's Christmas lights over everything, which isn't bad. Or it's like crawling with, like little dots or something like that. And believe me, it happens to me all the time. With a lot of different things. The splatter painting, which I think I'm going to do on here too still. Or these white little dots like this. It's just, I don't know. They're fun to apply. They're like little... It's a white dot, but it's like you're adding light into the scene, you know what I mean? And it's bringing life to these different areas. Like, see, if I didn't have that lighting on this tree, it would be kind of be a little bit of a dead area, in here, in a way. Or like, see here, I'll just add a couple, or little sparkles in this water right over here. And maybe it'll bring that area to life a little bit. Okay, something like that. So everything is kind of like shimmering a little bit more now. Okay, that's what that looks like that. So you have your one scene like this, one scene like that. It's almost like three scenes in some ways, you know what I mean? Because this is what they call, I don't know, whatever, sequential or sequencing, sequential aesthetic sequencing. You know, someone's going to look at like this maybe, and then like this, and then they open it up like that. So it's really kind of like three scenes, you know, in many ways, because they're, you know, you treat them as different compositions. So I'm going to add something up here too, something that's going to be a little bit more of a, like a focal point, like a word stamp up here. And I think I was going to do something the same thing over that way. Okay, but let's do something too up here. Let's do, I'm going to add something up here. I was going to put like snowfall or something like that in this whole area, but I think I'm just going to put a little bit of stars up in the sky, which you wouldn't be able to see during a full moon, I know, but you know, these textures like this just really look fun. Let's see here. They're a lot of fun when applied, so let's see. Let's do this right here. Okay. If you want to take my masking class, there's still a couple spots in there. I'm just joking, folks. All right. Oh, I should cover up that moon too, shouldn't I? Did I keep that round for there? Okay, I'm just going to cut out one of these things because I'm going to need one anyway at some point in time. Oh, this is the, I think this is the printable film that I'm cutting out right here. This is like a, it's like a plastic that you can run through your inkjet printer. Now, if this glow-in-the-dark moon looks pretty cool, maybe I'll, you know, maybe I'll add it in there, like I was saying. You know, instead of this, you know, whatever, one on the scene like that. See, look at that. That looks pretty cool up there. Okay, but I'm just going to use that as a mask for right now. Dr. Martin's Bleed Proof White with your trusty splatter painting tool. It's splatter painting applicator. All right, let's see. Hopefully, I don't have to add too much water to this. I think it's ready to go. Let's see. Yeah, it might be a little thick here. Oh, or is it? No, I think I can use this. This is like a newer bottle, so it's not like completely dry on me where I have to reconstitute it every time I use it. Okay, let's give this a try here. One of the great little things of media for your supplies. All right, I don't want to get any on that sailboat either. I'll just cover it up with my finger. All right, so let's go like that. Maybe the thicker one gave me a nice kind of splatter variation in there. Okay, and this Dr. Martin's really dries fast too. Let's see what looks better. There's a little bit of texturing on this one right here, but nah, that doesn't match at all. That's like too strong. That looks better. Now, if I added that glow in the dark one in here like that, I would do I would do some other applications in here, and I would use like some of the I don't know where'd it go. Some of that glow in the dark powder that I have, that Saya powder. I would add some other glow in the dark elements right down in this area, I think. All right, but anyways, don't you think that kind of improved that sky, a lot up there like that? So, you know, I would there using these little elements like this, these little, the little dot, okay, it can really bring a piece to life, in a big way. And here we have it on the sky like that. I think it really kind of improves that quite a bit. So, anyways, I don't even know how long this took to do, but it's a really fun technique to try out. You don't have to do it on a folded card, but stamping scenes out on just colored, let's see here, on colored stalks like this are pretty fun. I wouldn't go too much darker than this blue paper like that. It's like I said, it's like a 65, 75%, whatever, grayscale, on the grayscale in terms of light and dark, probably. Although you could, I think I've tried it on black matte or something like that, and I've applied my white pigment ink over the top of it. But it was really hard to see the imagery on there. I wouldn't go with like open imagery, but you can do like foggy, misty backgrounds or something like that. And if you're stamping out like big solid tree or something like that, plus a moon up in the sky, something like a black piece of paper might look pretty cool. Or if you're doing something Halloweenish or something, that might look kind of cool with just some pine trees, over the top of, some dim mist or something like that. That might be pretty cool. But these different types of papers you can do all kinds of different color schemes that you have. I don't know if there's dark browns out there, but that would be really kind of interesting. I've done it on purple. I like the purple a lot too. I have these smaller folded cards in purple that I bought I bought all these things like off of a clearance, table over at Kelly Paper over the years. So anytime they'd have like different types of envelopes, I'd grab them because they were like super cheap back when. It's like $2, normally like $15 or something like that back when. But I don't know, it's fun to do. And on these folded cards too, like this, like I said, it's kind of fun to do this type of sequencing like this. Now I treated it as like a full scene, but I also want these cards to look good, just on their own. So ideally, that's going to look pretty good. That'll look good on its own too. And then you want it to look, I don't know, whatever, a little bit more dramatic, I guess, maybe as a two-page continuous spread like that. So yeah. So anyway, let's see. You like this scene, huh, Linda? I need to try to see. Linda, did you do these? You probably did this before, right? With the folded card before. I don't know if anyone's done it like in a while though. That's posted on Facebook. If you guys are on anyone's on Facebook, join the Stampscapes Facebook numeric 2 group, or if you just type in Stampscapes, probably the Stampscapes page will come up, but look for the group Stampscapes and join us. You'll see everyone's posts up in there. Like I'll post this scene up there at some point in time. Masking class 101. I used to do this. Most of the times I only just tear a paper towel and I mask like that. And I remember someone in one of my classes, it was in a store and she was taking the class, and her friend was just shopping in the store, and she called out, hey, just hey, hey, Susan or whatever her name was, come on over. And she goes, look at this. And she goes rip, and then she's like masking something out. She's, I'm never gonna cut anything out again. Like post-it notes or something like that. And Magic Starry Night, full beautiful. Yeah, Magic Starry Night up there. Now you could make what a lot of times I do is I take a Q-tip and I just dab it in a little bit of white pigment ink, and I just make like a couple of these stars kind of glow a little bit more. But we already have like all this cloudy kind of atmosphere in here, okay? So I'm not going to do that on this one. Oh, that reminds me. I don't know if I want to do this or not, because it's already really super misty and everything, but this is like that final little refinement thing that can be... Oh yeah, I added a bunch of white pigment re-inker to this, didn't I? Let me smash this down. Going back to that same cotton ball. Now, hey, so I was mentioning, someone asked me about the cosmetic brushes. I'm going to add on a really delicate kind of application to this. Maybe this might be like a perfect place to use your cosmetic brushes, your ink applicators, for doing this right here, because you want like just a really small amount of it applied over the top of these things. You don't want to, I never want a big slathering of anything, but on this especially right here. So I'm just kind of lightly dabbing it down like this in this area. Okay, I took off way too much. I thought this thing would be like loaded up with a bunch of ink. Maybe I used up a ton of ink already. But I'm going to have some of this kind of this pigment ink just lightly applied and kind of creeping around the corner like that. Okay, so see that kind of coming around like that? And if you watch these videos a lot, sorry about the redundancy, I'm saying this all the time, but see, you have this kind of cloudy thing in the background like that, or this mist in the, air like that. But then after you stamp out your image, if you put some of this over the top of some of that imagery, I feel like it's enveloping our imagery, and it looks like it's sitting in the scene a little bit more, because you still have that same texture in the background, and now you have it over the top of your imagery. So it's like you're bringing, some of that into the mix. Okay, so see this like right down here. I mean, I think it looks fine as is, but just as an example like this, if I want to bring a little bit of this down in here, see like this right over the top of that little rock right there. So it's like, don't put it over the whole thing, but kind of have a little bit in like one area like that. So now that rock kind of looks like it's sitting in this kind of this hovering mist or something like that in there. So it's just kind of fun to do. It's like you're adding in a little bit of extra lighting into your piece. It's soft textures, and people tend to like soft light, back in the days of, it's all LEDs now, but when you went to the store at some point in time, they started selling, soft light, you know what I mean? That's what they, like call it, and everyone was buying those, from then on. So it's just a way to kind of introduce that soft element into your pieces like that. So I had a little bit of it coming around like that. It illuminated it a little bit. This was all kind of dark before. And like I said, I'm not going to add too much of it, because I think it's already kind of like misty in the background enough. But yeah, I don't know. That was really fun. I honestly really didn't know what it was going to come out like, but I don't know. Usually if you kind of employ these different techniques like that, like I didn't like that white application, and after I did that, I was thinking, let's see how this comes out, because it was all blotchy in here. And this is a fairly large card like this, it's 10 by 7 right now, because it's 5 by 7 on each card, but that was a lot of visible, kind of haphazard blotchiness going on in there. But you know, if you just kind of see that as a base layer coat, and then you add all these things in there, and you know, you you can eradicate certain things with, you know, additional coloring over the top of it, additional textures, and it seems like all, you know, that base layer stuff, you know, just kind of goes away if there's anything that was kind of undesirable at that stage of its development. So I have to listen to my own advice all the time, you see, on something like this, especially if it's stuff that I haven't done in a long time, or if I'm just trying to learn something, you know, and I'm experimenting with some new media. You know, I just don't know where it's going sometimes, and it's like, you know, there's a little bit of question in me, you know, if it's going to come out or not. But again, it's just all those other layers of stuff. It tends to bring things around and refines it pretty well. So if you stick to those things, sometimes I don't like it until I splatter paint it, and it's like the last stage of the, you know, the last step in the, you know, in the entire process sometimes. But anyway, all right. I've never done a folded card that I can remember. Okay, I thought you would have done one at some point in time. Huh. Another thing too, I mean, you know, I mean, I mean, you can do these cards like this and just fold it after, but sometimes it's easier to tell kind of what's going on with it, and if you need to change anything during the process if it's folded. Of course, you can always fold it later and then refine it then too. But I don't know. Yeah, this like this, you know. Greetings, wish you were here, like that. Or is this better as a card like this? I think I like it better like this. And like that on the outside, and then they open it up, it's a full card. Then this is like the interior. I think on the interior it'd keep things really simple. You can do like a, you know, you can do like something nautical or a little boat, or it could be another like moon or something like that in here. Um, Sometimes what I do when I do this splatter painting on the outside like that, I just do like this splatter painting like this across here, like it's a little Milky Way or something like that. And then I do my, you know, whatever greeting and stuff like that right over the top of it. So I keep it really simple like that. So it's just a really, it's just you bring in one of the elements from here onto the interior. Sometimes you can bring in like the smallest element, like a, you know, like that little boat, and you can just stamp it right here or something like that. And that can be a kind of a little bit of a tie-in to the you know, the exterior of the card. All right, folks. I want to live in one of those cabins. They're both up for sale, Megan. And for you, you get the insider discount. Yeah, lots of fun. All right, folks. Folded cards. Give it a try. It's pretty fun to do that. It's like double the work though, because it's like a larger piece though, you know. So maybe you can start off. Sometimes you can start off with a half page and just fold it in half and do a quarter one. So, you know, the thing that would make this really fast too. You can do it on a different type of. The thing that took me a while was the water in here. But if we did this like, you know, scene like on whatever, you know, your wood grain paper like this or something like that, and you just fold this over like this. Actually, this would make a lousy one because it's so thin. But maybe if you did it on like a wood grain paper, I'd mount this onto some cardstock, some heavier cardstock or something like this. And just, you know, this lighter one like this, cabin this side, you know. The texturing up here kind of takes care of your, I would make that the sky up there, and this like the water down here maybe. But you can do like something like that really fast on, you know, those pre-textured papers like that, or the vintage one, and I think it would go really fast. But I don't know, this blue one is pretty fun. So I don't know, try it out. And if you haven't done like just dark cardstock, try that out too. Try it on a little, you know, I don't know, whatever, a small little piece first, you know, do a little square of it, even if it's just one stamp, and practice a little bit of that highlighting on there or something like that, with you know, a pastel or chalk or something like that, or a white. I don't know if the white colored pencil really applies really well, but I don't know. It should apply a little bit, but and then go and add in a few little highlights with you know, your paint pens and see how that goes. See if you like it. All right. Sold. It's on these houses. It's whatever the best offer. Silent auction. How's that? All right. Good night, military mom. Have a good evening. East Coast, 11, almost 11:30 p.m. Thanks for joining in. All right, good night.